And the lesson is that a lot of young men in America, mostly white but not exclusively, listen to Nick Fuentes really carefully. And the lesson that our professional bettors in Washington have drawn over the past few weeks is that means they're as bad as Nick Fuentes. They're Nazis too. But of course, they're not Nazis by and large. They're just American young people. And so the question is, and it's a pressing question if you care about the future of the country, why have they been listening to Nick Fuentes? Sincerely, like, what is this? Why aren't they listening to somebody from the Heritage Foundation or the Daily Wire? Why do they believe Nick Fuentes more than they believe the people who think they ought to have a monopoly on the attention of young conservatives? That is a really important question. And what does it say, not simply about their attitudes, but about the problems they face, the society they grew up in, the future they imagine for themselves? What does it say about all of that Fuentes is so popular among young men? After all, young men really are kind of the basis of our hope for continuing as a country. So if they're off in some direction that you don't understand, it's probably incumbent on you to try to understand it to the extent you can. You know, it's hard to understand other people's motives, and it's even harder when they're in a different generation. But making a good faith effort to figure out what is this, well, that's on us. Us being, you know, everyone with a job who's not in that generation. All the beneficiaries of a stronger, more cohesive America, the America we grew up in, which doesn't exist anymore. It's our responsibility to look at newer generations and say, what's going on with them? Can we help in any way? If we care about our country, if we care about our own families, our children and grandchildren, we probably want to do that. And it's probably not enough to call them names. It doesn't work, for one thing. It just makes whatever we claim to dislike even stronger. There's one lesson of the Trump 2015 announcement and everything that's happened since then, the last 10 years, it's that. And the lesson, obviously, is that when every power center in the country declares war on you, you become a power center. It doesn't destroy you. It makes you stronger. It's certainly true for Donald Trump. Would he have become president in 2016 and 2024 if all the cool kids hadn't denounced him as a Nazi? Probably not. Would he have been reelected if the FBI hadn't raided Mar-a-Lago and gone through his wife's underwear drawer? We can debate it, but maybe not. Maybe this would be the Ron DeSantis presidency. Probably. So attacking people, particularly when you attack them ad hominem, when you don't try to deconstruct or rebut the arguments they're making, but just calling them names,